I don't know who killed Paul Murdaugh. I don't know who killed Maggie Murdaugh. I can't say who killed Stephen Smith. I don't know who, if anyone, killed Gloria Satterfield. But I think I know who killed Mallory Beach. And I know that her family will never get justice in her case. And that keeps me up at night. My name is Mandy Matney, and this is the Murdaugh Murders Podcast. There are 5 recent deaths connected to the Murdaugh family, and I hope to get answers for each and every one of them. I have been investigating the Murdaugh family for the better part of 2.5 years now, and it is by far the craziest, most twisted saga I have ever written. Ever since I heard the news of the boat crash on February 24th, 2019, I just couldn't stop.
Oh, what?
911, where's your emergency? Police, fire, and a nurse. Hello?
We're in a boat crash on Arthur Street. There's 6 of us and 1 is missing.
19-year-old Mallory Beach was ejected into the dark water during the crash. Her body was found a week later. Mallory was a bright, bubbly teenager who lit up every room she walked into. She was the embodiment of a sweet Southern girl. Mallory had long, blonde hair and a stunning smile. Most of all, she was the type of person who was genuinely kind to everyone she met. She suffered a horrific death on February 24th, 2019, and so many lives were forever changed by her death. Paul was charged with 3 felonies in that crash, but he never spent a minute in jail. So who was Paul Murdaugh? To understand Paul, we have to understand his family. Many people say that the Murdaughs are the law in Hampton County, one of the poorest counties in South Carolina with a depleting population and a vanishing industry. Hampton is about an hour from Hilton Head, but it feels a world away, a place where time stood still and hasn't moved much since the 1950s. Hampton County is known as a judicial hellhole due to its longtime reputation of siding with plaintiffs and rewarding an unusually high amount for damages. The Murdaugh family law firm files a majority of those big money lawsuits in Hampton County. So when we talk about how the Murdaughs gained power over the last century, they did this not only through their roles as prosecutors, but also through their well-known law firm. Over the years, I have spoken with over 100 people about the Murdaugh family. Many call the boat crash South Carolina's Chappaquiddick, a story entangled in the twisted web of politics, power, money, investigative failures, and flagrant cover-ups. But then on June 7th, the story took a wild, unexpected turn that no one saw coming. Paul Murdaugh and his 52-year-old mother, Maggie Murdaugh, were found murdered on their 1,700-acre property about 60 miles west of Charleston. The property is called Moselle. It's the family's hunting lodge. The bodies were found outside. Police have released almost no official information in the double homicide, but several law enforcement sources have helped us piece together information and leads in the case, a murder investigation like no other. Sources have told us that Paul Murdaugh was killed by 2 shotgun blasts, one to the chest and another through the arm and head. Maggie Murdaugh died of multiple gunshot wounds by a semi-automatic rifle, according to our sources. 2 weapons were used in the double homicide, which is highly unusual. They were reportedly found near the dog kennels on the property. Sources have confirmed that the family's dogs were not killed during the incident, which is one of many rumors swirling around this crazy story. Alec Murdaugh, Paul's father and Maggie's husband, called 911 around 10:07 p.m. to report that he had just found the bodies. Alec Murdaugh, a prominent local attorney, was named a person of interest early on in the investigation, according to our sources. However, he has reportedly provided police with an ironclad alibi, according to law enforcement sources. Good Morning America reported that Alec was taking his father to the hospital on the day of the killings. After that, he reportedly checked in on his mother before returning to the hunting lodge, where he allegedly discovered the bodies of his wife and son. This is what appears to be the ironclad alibi that sources told us about. Also, sources close to the Murdaugh family have told us that Alec is not a suspect in the case and is cooperating fully with SLED investigators. These sources further claim that Alec Murdaugh's interview with SLED was all about closing the book on him as any sort of suspect in the case. However, multiple sources with direct knowledge of the investigation have cautioned against accepting that interpretation. Have I mentioned that this case is so confusing and a murder investigation like no other? There are some things we do know. We do know that Alec Murdaugh is being looked at not only in this inquiry, but another investigation related to the 2019 boat crash. Sources told us that there is credible evidence that obstruction of justice occurred in that investigation, and that the Murdaugh family members are being looked at in that obstruction of justice investigation. Today, June 22nd, SLED made a big announcement. The agency has opened an investigation into the death of Stephen Smith. Sandy Smith called me today to tell me the news, and it was one of the most emotional phone calls of my entire career. She thanked me for all of my reporting, and she said she couldn't even cry yet. She was just so overwhelmed with joy. All she wants in all of this is a fair and accurate investigation. And I hope now she's going to get it. Another big part of that was what SLED told me was that they reopened the investigation based on information gathered during the course of the double homicide murder investigation of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh. We don't know exactly what that means at this point, but it is a big deal that they said that, and we're going to try to find answers. SLED appears to be casting a wide net, as it is apparently working to exclude individuals who might have had a motive in this double homicide. According to our sources, all of the boat crash survivors and Beach's family members have voluntarily submitted to questioning and volunteered to provide their DNA as a part of the double homicide investigation. Something that the world outside of South Carolina just doesn't seem to understand about this case is how fearful people are of talking about this family. When I first started investigating this case 2 years ago, sources wouldn't even speak to me on the phone. They were so scared. They wanted to meet in person to talk. Everyone knows who the Murdaughs are in the Low Country. They know how powerful this family is. They know all of their ties to law enforcement. And they also are very much aware that murdering 2 of their family members would be one of the most high-risk crimes you could even think of. We're not sure where this podcast is going, and we don't know where the investigation is going. But every week, we're going to publish an episode on this saga. Not only about the double homicide investigation, but about Stephen's case, and about Mallory's case, and about Gloria's case. We want to find answers for all of these. This podcast isn't going to be like the others that are simply bumming off other people's reporting. I have worked hard to report every fact that I'm speaking about in this case. This story is not a Southern cliche. It's far worse. And I want to tell it in my own words, straight to you, the listener.